So I'm just going to go to my first question. I did say personally what I think inspiration is all about pushing someone to do positive things personally, and then pushing yourself to do positive things. So my first question is, what do you see as inspiration?
I think for me, inspiration is, as well as that, it's showing people the opportunities they have in life. I feel like many of us, we're stuck and we have this belief of our external environment is the only thing that we can achieve. But to inspire someone and to be inspired is to make sure that they believe that there's something else out there, else than the external environment or the, the self-belief they've put in themselves and the self-barriers that they've put on themselves. So it's inspiring them to see even more than just the barriers they've self-imposed.
Yeah. Tessa?
Yeah, so with inspiration, I also think like inspiration hand in hand usually goes with empowerment. So for me, when I try and inspire someone, it's about empowering them as well, giving them the tools, giving them the confidence, giving them the power to believe that they can go that step further and achieve their dreams, basically.
Yeah. Oh, this one mic thing.
Well, as you all can see, I've not really had that much age experience to kind of know how inspiration kind of works. But to me personally, the way I see inspiration, I see it as a tool that you kind of offer someone to help them basically see their potential in life and kind of discover a purpose for themselves. That's how I kind of would see inspiration, and that's how I define it for me.
For me, inspiration is when you know that underneath the wrapper is an exciting thing to be discovered, and helping people to know that it's worth taking the wrapper off. And for many of us, we are coloured by the wrapper that we can see around us and don't always appreciate that beneath the wrapper is something really worth unwrapping. It's like giving a child a gift and them looking at it and saying, "Mommy, this gift looks absolutely beautiful," but they don't want to take the wrapper off because they like the wrapping paper. You say, well, actually, that's not the point. Get this wrapping paper off because beneath it, the prize is waiting for you.
Amazing. It's like, recycle yourself or something, or refresh yourself every morning or something like that to say, am I really doing these things? And these are all the things that, we've mentioned here. So my second question, and I'll open it up to the floor. In the global circumstance that we live in right now, it is very hard to move people from a particular mindset into a mindset that's positive based on capitalism or the way the world works. I would tell my friends right now, let's do something, and they'd be like, "Sam, are you gonna get me? Are you gonna pay me? What do I benefit from that?" If I tell them, don't just go work in an organization, help your community, but at the same time save the environment, they'd be like, that's not gonna pay me. So it's kind of hard to get young people to move into this mindset in the global setting. So personally, a lot of us here are moving into that positive mindset. A lot of us are doing a lot of social things, things like TAP, the MABN, the TAPS Die with the diaspora funding. We're beginning to change our mindset. Apparently, about 80% of the young people want to do social work these days. So is there anything that you do personally, that helps you every day to stay inspired? And how do you personally, how did you make that decision to become the inspirations that you all are today? So it's two questions. How do you do it every day? Because personally, I said I wake up every morning and have this like 30 minutes of reflecting on, okay, I'm alive, I'm Sam, I'm Eco Sam, I believe in Africa, so how do you do it every day to keep yourself inspired? And, how did you decide to become that inspiration? Because everybody here wants to make a difference. Yeah. So that's my question.
Starting here. I've got two things that I do, so rituals for myself. One, affirmations. Two, gratitudes. Very simple stuff. It's basic. Everyone will say this. Affirmations, I wake up in the morning and this is how I start my day. I don't leave the house if I don't do this. I wake up, I'm all dressed, I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, ready, set, go. And I say that to myself every day, without a doubt. So this morning, did it at 5 o'clock in the morning, I had to leave my house. So when I look at myself in the mirror and I say that, that's saying, Sandy, you're making yourself accountable for your actions today. What you do today is going to count, and this is your time. This is the go time. The second thing I do, this is before bed, so that's when I wake up. Before bed, I think my life, even though I'm 22, I've had a lot of experiences, some hardships here and there, and some success and achievements that I'm really proud of. And when you look back at what people achieve and what people's life are, you tend to be grateful for what you have, and I think the more you are grateful for what you have, it'll multiply. So every night before I go to bed, I write down at least 3 or 4 things that I'm grateful for, or people that I'm grateful for, or things that I've done today that I'm just like, wow, you did that. And that really puts everything into perspective for me. And that makes me seem like, okay, I'm grateful for this. Can I make someone else grateful for having this in their life? So that's
Amazing.
Two of the things that I do that keeps me going is giving thanks every morning, every time I wake up and before I go to bed. Knowing that I have a vision and a dream and a goal that I need to continue to aspire to. On my bedroom wall, I've got the word focus, because I think that's really important. We can get distracted by so many things that I like to call shiny objects, but with focus, you will get to that end point. And next to that is a picture of my 7-year-old daughter. So that's my why. It's not just about me and driving for successes, for positive change. It's about what I leave behind for my daughter. So she's my why. The focus is the driving point, and obviously my daughter is my big why to keep me going.
So for me, I set myself short-term, mid-term and long-term goals. And I'm a bit of a daydreamer, so I visualize the future that I want to see, and I feel the emotion that I'd feel if those dreams manifest. So yeah, I think it's just about visualizing what you want and aspiring towards those goals, and set yourself like daily to-do lists of short-term targets to hit those goals, and keep picking away at your dream, and gradually you'll achieve what you set out to do. So that's what works for me.
Wow.
I mean, I don't.
Do I get?
I was going to say I don't have any kind of rituals or anything specific that I do. But
Simple things
one
in life.
thing that keeps me inspired is, as the gentleman said before, was the hope of doing something better, the hope of change, the hope of making an impact. You won't probably be able to tell by my strong Scouse accent, but I spent a lot of my life living in a very rural part of Nigeria as a child, and back then, where we lived, didn't have running water, electricity. So when you go back to see that kind of condition or standard of living, and people are happy and genuinely comfortable with their surroundings, and then you come back here, and sometimes you're not very grateful for what you have, it actually changes your mind frame or mindset and makes you appreciate what's important, and it inspires you to actually do things for the right reason. That's what keeps me inspired, basically.
I'm kind of going to be on a slightly different note, I think, because I don't do anything in addition to just being myself. I don't. It's great to have these things that empower ourselves. It's great to have those feelings. But for me, just being myself is how I keep going. I have goals, I have ambitions, I have wants, I have desires. But it's very odd. I don't say, right, okay, I'm aiming to do such a thing today. I'm just wanting to make sure that every single thing that I do is the best that I can make it. I want to be that person that I'm Buddhist by faith, and karma is something that gets tossed around a lot, and it's something that a lot of people say, oh God, karma, we all understand karma, but to me karma isn't about hoping for one big end goal that all this stuff gets cashed in, all the good things versus the bad things, and you either move up or down in life. To me, karma is making the most of those little situations that don't mean anything to you, but they can make a massive difference. You never know the ripple effects of our decisions. Stopping the bus to let someone jump on it doesn't mean anything to you. It's just someone's coming. But that person being able to get on that bus means they made it to that job, means they got that promotion, meant they had that money to buy the concert tickets to meet their future someone. That didn't mean anything to me. That was just nothing. I didn't take anything extra. It was just a small, oh, here comes somebody. But that meant the world to that person. And keeping that in mind is a huge thing. And I suppose on that vein is perspective is the other thing that I kind of keep in mind. Because you can look at something and it can be straight-edged, it can be imposing, it can be square, it can be a barrier. But you turn that on its side and suddenly you realise how flimsy that is, that resistance that you've been facing or that dilemma that you're helping someone overcome. Keeping it in perspective what that person's going through and enabling that person, empowering that person, as we said before, having that you are allowed to be upset by this, you are allowed to feel that the world's got you down, but also keep in perspective that there are people here who are willing to help you. You are not going through this alone. So that's how, and that's what I do to keep inspired. I keep that in mind, I suppose.
Amazing. Anybody else?
Yeah, I probably a little bit predictable, really. I read my Bible every single morning without fail. In fact, I call it eating. So if I don't eat from the Word of God, I don't feel ready to eat anything else for the rest of the day, and I get a huge amount of inspiration from that. The reason being is because I'm so conscious of the sense of otherness, you know, that I didn't choose to have two eyes or to be able to get the gift of oxygen every day to breathe. And I'm always so conscious that somewhere in existence, something or someone else gave that to me. So this great sense of gratitude, not being clever trying to work out what happened. I'm just thought, well, I've arrived. So every day I wake up with an extreme amount of gratitude. And so I tend to take a lot of inspiration from that spiritual journey. And in the same time, I accept that people get inspiration from other things. But for me, that's been absolutely so awesome that it's in fact affected me so much that twice a week I don't eat for all of Tuesday and all of Friday. Again, to pay respect to that sense that there's something so awesome that is empowering me that I must pay reverence to it. So that's my perception of God and my spiritual journey, which transcends all of my economic and social ideas. But that's how I keep myself inspired.
For me, really, it's three things, and to kind of broaden out more over. But it's God, purpose, and the third one is goal setting. So every time, whenever I feel like I'm out of inspiration, I feel down, I feel demotivated, I always go back to those three things, and then I look at, let's say, what goals I have. I spend more time with God, or I might be able to, let's say, what's it called? So I just go back to those things, and then I kind of trace back where I've come from, and then see why I feel the way I feel like, or why am I really down, and based on what I wrote down on my goals, or what by praying, spending time with God, what kind of God is telling me to do, all that kind of comes together to kind of keep me going every day. So on a day-to-day, so it's on a week, I might look at my goals, most likely on a week basis. On a day-to-day kind of going forward, that's kind of me keeping a relationship with God. So keeping that kind of onward and going, and my purpose, that just really gets to me to help me when things like, I'm trying to do something and that something looks really big, too hard, no one I know around me has done it before. That's where I go to my purpose, and I'm like, okay, everyone was made, but why was I made? And based on that reason that I think I was created for, that's where I can actually then go and tackle things that are really big for me, or things that I know if I got to start doing it, I might lose friends, I might lose anyone, but I know it's bigger than me. It's bigger than them as well. I have to do it. That's how I stay inspired.
Amazing. Hold that. Yeah, amazing. Purpose. I like that one. I think in the future we'll probably do something about purpose. Amazing. Marcelo, you just want to clap for everyone. Yay! Be inspired. Right. Okay. I'm gonna open the questions to the floor. We've got another we've got 2 minutes, but I'm gonna add 3 minutes on top of that because I can. So I'm gonna open the questions to the floor. I can see somebody hands up already. 2 hands already. So I'm gonna take the 2 questions straight up, and then you guys can answer them. Yeah, I'm sure the 2 questions I asked was I wanted to get everybody's opinion. This one, you can, smash it. Do we bring the mic up there? Yeah, can you scream? Yeah, awesome. Go.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to apologize because I feel like my question might be a bit invasive in a way. But what beliefs do you guys hold that you think might be holding you back in your careers? Or maybe if you've moved past the stage, what beliefs did you used to have that were holding you back?
Yeah, a belief that held you back, like a limitation.
Do you have I'm ready?
I'm seeing that as mindsets, yeah.
I'm just there straight away. It's something that I got over very recently, actually, like a few months ago. And there's a term for it, and it's called imposter syndrome. And it's a big one, because when you are making your own choices and if you're valuing yourself in... Because I'm a student, I'm giving all this advice, great, but am I really credible? I think it's a question that I always ask myself. Am I good enough to give you this advice? Even though personally I believe I've done enough self-educated reading and all of that, it's that whole imposter syndrome. It's saying, I know all of this, but can I really value myself to give it to these people? And finding the value in myself and knowing my worth and adding tax to it, it's been really good for me. So imposter syndrome was my biggest challenge.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a deep one. Absolutely.
The biggest one for me was to do with my eyesight, ironically. Being an ambassador for Oxide and trying to help people who have similar conditions as myself, I had to come over that myself. I had to ask myself those really hard questions. And it was that feeling, as kind of similar to yourself, that self-worth feeling. I almost had this impression that I wasn't going to be lovable because I had this impairment. And to be honest, I used to think of myself as disabled. I don't think of myself that way anymore. I think of myself as impaired. I'm not a disabled person. I'm a person with a disability. And then I'm a person with an impairment. As I said in my talk, we were so much more than the sum of our parts, and it was overcoming that and accepting that I have limitations, but also accepting that asking for help is actually what strong people do. The weak people ask for someone else to do it for them. The strong ask for help in doing it, and that was my biggest thing. It's learning to accept and ask for help, and then also to move beyond that feeling that I am just one part. I've got so much more to offer.
So with me, it was telling myself that I couldn't speak in public. So because I'm a pretty naturally shy person, it was just pushing myself to come out of my comfort zone. So last year in October, I'd done an event at the Hilton Hotel, a Black Achievers dinner dance, and we had over 200 people there. And I had to get up and speak in front of everyone. And at the point of coming up, it was a bit nerve-wracking, but actually once I took part in the talk and I came away from it, I could look back and think, oh, it's not as bad as I think. So doing events like this and having to speak to people is something that's part of my journey in overcoming it, because I feel I've got a message. So having to speak to people at events like this is part of the process. So as the Les Brown quote is, leap and grow your wings on the way down, is something that I follow. So just throw myself in the deep end, do whatever I need to do, and then whatever happens, happens.
Amazing. I'm going to clap to that one. Deep.
Yes, I think it goes back to the imposter syndrome, but for different reasons. I've always worked in a very corporate environment, and statistically, when you're in that environment, it's usually white male dominated, and you'd be the only black face in the whole room of directors, sometimes MPs, ambassadors from different countries, and subconsciously sometimes you don't question yourself, but you think, I'm obviously outwardly different. You might get specific different reactions to your feedback or what you're contributing to the overall meetings, and slowly but surely sometimes that does have a slight effect on you in terms of you doubting or questioning yourself. But I think what you have to do is go back to the basics. You're there for a reason. You're qualified. You've got the right attributes, skills, knowledge, experience. Don't doubt yourself. That's the main thing. Cool. And that's something I had to teach myself slowly but surely over the years. Basically, don't doubt yourself. You're in that room for a reason. Yeah. Everyone's as equally qualified and has a purpose in that room. And that's probably my biggest message.
Okay, I'm gonna moderate. Sorry, Carlos. I'm sorry. One more question. I'm gonna take that question, and then if you're going to answer, 30 seconds, so we can wrap this up and move forward. Yeah, if you can do it in 30 seconds, that would be great. Go. Good question. I'm buzzing over that question. Absolutely buzzing. I didn't want to put that on anyone, but good one. Go.
Okay, so I think because I know Sam quite well, something I'm very passionate about, because obviously a lot of my work centers around business in Africa. I think culturally and historically in Africa, it's usually importance is dominated by seniority, and something that I'm always championing, and Sam knows quite well, is it's not about seniority, it's about having the ability to actually perform. It doesn't matter how old you are, what age group, ethnicity, what tribe, gender. If you're capable of being in that position, that's what determines your place. And I champion this all the time. I'm always encouraging young people to be involved in as many activities business-wise as possible. I mentor as many people as possible. Sam knows that. So if anyone's interested in business, international business, specifically around Africa, feel free to talk to me. I'm always just a phone call away. There's quite a, trying to think what initiatives are available. There's quite a few initiatives which I'm slowly being involved in. Obviously, Eco Africa, Eco World, that's something you definitely need to be involved with.
Yeah, I guess. You just answered the question and said eco is the one. Oh, God. Yeah, anybody could answer this.
Okay.
Go.
So in terms of initiatives, I've not had the great pleasure yet of being able to establish anything internationally just yet. And so, of course, our organization is trying to establish an economic funding base, because most of the initiatives that I find that we're very creative as people, got great ideas, but oftentimes we simply can't find the resource to make those ideas come about. So our project, we're attempting to get 20 million people worldwide to put £2 a week into a fund, to create a fund that will grow at £40 million a week. Because unless we have economic plans which are capable of allowing us to buy hotels and to buy holiday resorts and to make major economic decisions, all our ideas remain micro. And as a people, we're doing everything business-wise in the micro. You know, at the last event at your place, I heard an interesting statistic about the number of businesses in Africa which employed 5 people or less. My own company here in Manchester, we employ just around 40 people, and people tell me it's a big business. You know, and I really don't think it's such a big business. We do just under £2 million a year, but we are still a small business, and in our sector, we need to be able to think outside of the box and have strategies to be able to get involved in macroeconomics. So our organization, 20 million people, putting £2 a week into a fund, creating an investment fund that is specifically designed for the advancement of African Caribbean people, and particularly for the young people who, like yourselves, who are leaving university, so that you can have a port of call that can really resource the things that you want to do. We don't want to necessarily do these things. We want to just simply raise the money and empower those people who have the visions.
Amazing. Do you want to say something or no? I'm going to wrap it up anyway. Thank you so much. This has been great. You look like you want to ask another question. No, I'm not giving you another question. Anyway, thank you guys so much. This has been amazing. I've actually got a lot today. And I want to say SDGs is the future. The initiative of doing it, don't shake your head. The initiative of doing it is that we come up with a new strategy, a new structure that could actually empower people to actually get them to do these things, even though the leaders have said it, but maybe we create a new strategy that matches up with these UN SDG goals, so we move forward, and that's what I'm going to put to that one. Yeah, yep. You look like I'm going to have to wrap it up, man. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Oh, I will talk about that later at the Echo Vision, and if people that interested, it's actually the 17 goals right here. The global leaders came together and formed goals that every nation can attain to eradicate most of the social, ethical, and sustainability of the world. That's the best way I could put it. But I'll talk more about it later. So everybody, can we give the panel a round of applause, and thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much.